Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start our roadshow meeting, and we'll invite Dr. Abeid Zahabi to deliver His Excellency CEO of SCA speech. Please.
Assalamu alaikum and very good mornings today. And would like to thank you for accepting our invitations to be here with us today on a roadshow on the bonds and sukuk. Also would like to thank Mr. Michael Griffiths from GIBSA to give us a big support to invite more market participants to be here with us to discuss the regulations aspects today. It's my pleasure to pass in the appreciations and the thankfulness of His Excellency Mr. Abdullah Al-Tarifi, who's apologized for not being able to be here today for a reason connecting with the meetings in UAE cabinet. All right, so allow me to deliver his speech on behalf of His Excellency Mr. Abdullah Al-Tarifi today. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, good morning. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome you all here today to introduce ASCA most recent sukuk and bonds regulations. Based on the visions and strategies of ASCA, we already have a clear advantage with many incentives already in place, including a strong regulatory structure, such as regulations aimed to follow best international practices and cutting-edge market standards with the goal of modernize the country financial markets. These two regulations are part of the move to increase UAE as a hub of financial services and promote the local debt markets as an important component of financial markets in the UAE. The growth of the international and local bonds markets brings to investors more options for diversifications of his investments and over-investments in the benefits of wide spectrums of attractive returns bonds. The total size of bond sukuks, as you know, or most of you knowing, issuance in the UAE alone during the first half of the year exceed more than 44.2 billion of dirhams, constituting almost 55% of total issuance in the Middle East region during this period, according to the Thomson Reuters report. Furthermore, the first half of 2014, the total sukuk issuance, including financial institutions and sovereign sukuk in the GCC, grew by 19% annually, comparing with 6% in Malaysia, according to Standard & Poor's report. Also, the report predicted that corporate and infrastructure sukuk issuance is likely to rise over the next few years as companies' refinance needs grow and as entities establish themselves in sukuk issuance industries. The Emirates of Sharjah last week, as examples, launched its 10-year sukuk at a size of $750 million. The size of emerging markets, as you know, overall corporate debt pool was estimated at over $1 trillion in 2013. The aggregate primary issuance of bonds and sukuk in GCC during the first half of 2000s total almost $56.7 billion, an increase of 24.5% compared to the same period last year, according to the report by Kuwait Financial Center Al-Markaz. Currently, there are 3 corporate bonds issuance on DFM and 8 corporate bonds issues on Nasdaq Dubai, depending on 2 of the most prominent law firms. Thus, depending on the 2 of the most prominent law firms, namely Peaceful Angelianis and Clever Chance, SCAHA defines a key development elements in the new bonds and sukuk regulations as main themes, which include clear distinctions between private placements and public, over which exempts for private placements from the requirements of seeking approval. The second, bonds is minimum issue size requirement reduced to 10 millions instead of 50 millions in the old regulations. Introduce debt securities issuance program to allow for fast-tracked process for second issuers. Developing the process of reporting requirements corresponding on listings and OTC trading requirements, clearing and settlements outside local markets also stated in the new regulations through it could be through your clear or clear streams according to the international market practices. The overall objective of today roadshow are focused on raise awareness of bonds and sukuk among potentials, issuers and investors, strengthen UAE roles as a financial hubs and home of the global Islamic economy, and demonstrate commitments to increase transparency and market efficiencies. It highlights on the new regulations and address the regulatory requirements in the regulations. Also, our stakeholders, including the financial markets and Gulf Bonds and Sukuk Associations, GIBSA, which will shed light on the operational, also the edicts we have there, who will go into shed, on the operational requirement sides. Then the remaining stakeholders will be given the opportunity to share their thoughts during the Q&A sessions. Right now we'll give the floor for the ASCA representative, Dr. Mandir Barakat. He's senior advisor in ASCA, to deliver a presentation sides of the regulations and discuss in more details the regulatory requirements. So, Dr. Barakat, please.
Good morning. We're not going to go in full details of the regulations. They are available on our website. We're going to talk about some key features and some key changes. ISCA had a set of listing rules for bonds and sukuk since 2005. In ISCA's policy, we usually every 5 years review our existing regulations. We found out that the existing regulations were only for listing and trading. Also received many comments from the industry and from other international bodies and the stock exchanges that there are some, let's say, aspects of the regulations that need to be modernized and upgraded, some of which that the existing regulations never talked about the issuance of bonds and sukuk. The other thing is that some of the international bodies, including peer regulators and other exchanges, thought that the small size of trading on the exchanges of bonds and sukuk might have caused by the existing regulations. The first step we did is we looked at international best practices. We looked at how to transform the bond and sukuk markets in the UAE to become a hub for issuance and listing. The other goal is to give investors the needed products and market mechanisms for diversification of portfolios, including institutional investors. The third thing was to follow a robust regulatory process that would yield robust and dynamic regulations. We started first with looking at international best practices. Then we talked with, as Dr. Abed just said, consultants from the industry, Bracewell, Giuliani, Clifford Chance, and others, to help us draft the first draft of the regulations. We formed teams within ESCA. We reviewed the regulations. We rewrote them in Arabic in accordance with the existing laws of regulations of the country. And then we put them on a website. We had workshops with interested parties in the industry. And we talked with people who listed from the UAE, who listed outside the country, including Mubadala, including A'mar, including some of the listed companies, the government of Abu Dhabi, the PDMO of the government of Abu Dhabi. And we learned from them what they needed for them to be able to issue and list in the country. And that was a very good exercise. And we learned of the obstacles that were existing in our pre-existing regulations, and we overcame those in the current regulations. Of the major issues that were included in the new regulations, that issuance or listing of bonds and sukuk has to be approved by ESCA. Government bonds, and government is defined as Treasury, the federal government, Ministry of Finance, and the central bank. Also, the local governments are excluded from getting ESCA approval for issuing or listing unless the listing is on one of the exchanges of in the country, DFM or ADX. Then there is a set of rules for government securities to be listed in the country. Privately offered security bonds and sukuk that are not going to be listed on any of the exchanges are exempt from these regulations. If you are issuing privately and you don't intend to list them on one of the exchanges, these securities are exempt. This is new in the regulations. Any issue of sukuk or bonds in a public manner, public offering, has to be listed. Public offering is only for retail, and if you publicly offer bonds and sukuk in the country, you have to list them on one of the exchanges. Primary listing on one of the exchanges has to come from a company that is established in the country and outside one of the free zones. Issuers and issuers of bonds and sukuks and issues of bonds and sukuks have to comply with the Commercial Companies Law and the issuer's constitutional documents. The minimum value of an issue is 10 million dirhams. In the past it was 50 million dirhams. The large size of qualifying issue in the past was a predicament, and now this is overcome. A trustee must be appointed for each issue. As you know, we don't have a trust law. However, banks can offer trust services under their commercial banking license. The conditions and procedures for approval of an issue: the first thing, we have to have the approval of the General Assembly of the issuer. Second, they have to get a prospectus and present it to ESCA for approval. We have a format for that. Any convertible or exchangeable bonds and sukuks have to show the details of convertibility or exchangeability in the prospectus. Also, one of the new things in our regulations is allowing programs of bonds and sukuks. In the past, in the pre-existing regulations, you only can issue once with each approval. Now we can get an approval for a program of bonds and sukuk. A paying agent has to be present for each issuance. In regards to publishing an advertisement, this is agreed with the central bank that anybody who wants to publish or advertise for issuance of sukuk has to have the ESCA approval. In the article number 14 of the funds regulations, also agreed with the central bank, no one is allowed to collect funds from the country without a proper law or regulation. This is in line with that mandate. The final thing I want to say is that ESCA and the markets have coordinated and cooperated in the writing of these regulations and are ready for any program of bonds or sukuk issuance or listing in the country. We form usually committees that would work with the issuers, and we go through the exercise together, and we offer you all the advice and help we can for the issuers to complete a successful issue. This is all I have to say, and we will wait for your questions after the in the Q&A session. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mandar Barakat. Now I invite Mr. Omar Sarkal to present ADX presentation.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our presentation. It's Omar Al-Sarkal. We will present how to trading for the debt instrument, whether it's bond or sukuk or convertible note in ADX. Actually, we are sorry, we thought it's in Arabic, and I will try to translate. We have six main slides. There's introduction, then we'll talk about listing, then about marketing, then how it will be the disclosure and publishing, then the setting, then trading. ADX was established in 2000. And the trading was started late 2000, start of 2001. We are very happy that we are completing 14,000 of successful. The vision of ADX was to be the best choice for the trader in the region. And we are trying to develop the capital market in a legal work from that's giving the clearance, and disclosure. When we talk about ADX, we are going through these numbers. The capital market when we start in 2000 was like 5,000 millions. Now we are talking about below that, and now we are talking about 139 billions of dollars about market cap. We reach our top in 2005, but it again decreased, and now we are going on the path since 2012, 2011. Also, the below graph is talking about the average trading, So as you see, we start with a very low number. But now we are reaching about more than $200 million every day. And this was April 2014. This is Abu Dhabi Index. We reach our maximum in 2005, last of 2005, which is 6.229. Then it decreased because of the recession, you know that. And now we are talking about approximately, as of yesterday, it's about 5,189. So when we talk about the instrument, the debt instrument, bonds and sukuk, the first stage in the market is to be listed, which is dealing by the listed department, The main obligation and the main requirement to be listed is to get agreed from the ISCA. As what our colleague said, Dr. Abed and Dr. Mandar, the first stage has to be done in ISCA. Then they came to us after they get the final approval. Then they sign with ADX, the agreement of listed. So from this stage, there are two main documents which has to go to the other department in ADX, which is the prospects and the agreement, the listing agreement. Because from these two documents, all the settings, all the other stage will come. This is the diagram of the listing. Then there is the marketing, we say the marketing, and there is publishing and disclosure, and there is the setting. All these three steps are going parallel, So ADX tried to market, not only the bonds, they market every every securities in ADX, you know, through the roadshow, as we hear now, through the exhibitions, meetings, you know, and this we cooperate with everyone. We cooperate with ISCA, we cooperate with the issuer, we cooperate with the banks, you know. As you see, this is one of the last roadshow. It was in London, you know, with cooperative with HSBC. Thanks, and I hope it was useful for you about to know about how to trade bonds and sukuk and ADX. Thank you.
Thanks to Mr. Amar Sarkar. Now I invite Mr. Michael J. Ferretti, the President of the Gulf Bonds and Sukuk Association. Welcome.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention this morning. Thank you, Dr. Obaid, for your kind words. The GIBS is delighted really to partner with the FCA to roll out the new and improved bond and sukuk regulations that govern issuance, listing, and trading of bonds in the UAE. As His Excellency set out, and others have as well, namely the governor of the central bank, Nasser al-Suwaidi, repeatedly, many times, that the time is right for creation of the local bond market in UAE. It's worth mentioning that the UAE and the ESCA specifically is the first of the regional regulators to roll out the latest batch, let's say, of upgraded regulations. We're working with several of them. The UAE is the first. We expect others to watch the space and probably to follow on in the next 6 and 12 months. I think we're all confident that the development of the market is something that can happen, and as such can supplement the access that UAE issuers have to international markets. Which is something that I should also underline is not in any way disturbed or and no obstacle is posed to issuance in international markets by UAE onshore companies. We're talking about something for the time being which will be a supplement to that access, and I think something that will be very valuable over time as a national asset, in the sense that the international markets are, as we know from time to time, closed or disturbed by events over which we have no control particularly, and which could pose risk to our companies and governments who wish to access the market. With respect to these regulations, it's been a pleasure to work with the ESCA. We find the published regulations to be considerably streamlined and mutually consistent between the bond and the sukuk regulations, and I think that's a positive for issuers who are looking at their alternatives. They would like to see that kind of consistency. They're also, as I said, streamlined and relieved of a lot of, let's say, excess detail that you sometimes find in regulations that can make the prospect of issuing bonds cumbersome and perhaps more costly and time-consuming, which is really the enemy of a bond issuance. I think this will make a more attractive value proposition for potential issuers. So then, just like Dr. Munter, I'd like to just focus on a few key elements that jumped out from the two sets of regulations. And there will be some repeating of what the doctor has said, but perhaps a slightly different view as well. First of all, as I said, both are consistent and provide a clear path to potential issuers. Both, as the doctor has mentioned, the door is open for programs in addition to one-off issuances, which is a big plus and something that's familiar from other markets. We anticipate, although it's not mentioned in these regs, that the ESCA would be open to shelf registration, which is something I think that we can continue to discuss, but would also be adding value for issuers. Both sets of regs don't apply to securities that are not offered to the public and not listed, i.e. private placements, which will be a valuable option as well for issuers who want to find a most efficient and cost-effective way to raise funds. Both sets create a distinction between wholesale and retail offerings, with the regulations applying in full force to the retail offerings. They arrive at that in different ways by different directions. The Sukuk regulations create something called an institutional Sukuk with a minimum value of 500,000 dirham, not to be offered to the public, and a retail Sukuk with a maximum value of 100,000 dirham. So we congratulate very much the SEA for doing its part, and thank you, Dr. Obeid, for your kind cooperation, and thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Michael, President of GBSA. Now I will invite again Mr. Michael and Dr. Mandar and Mr. Abdullah Al-Naimi, Head of Market Operation and Surveillance Department, to the stage for Q&A, questions and from the justice. Please, welcome.
The listing rules still require companies to comply in both in English and Arabic, or can they just only provide the information in English?
We're a government entity. The law of the land and the language is Arabic. However, we at SK entertain English applications and prospectus. Thank you.
My question goes to Mr. Abdullah, if he could shed light on the leasing process or procedures, or by other way, what is the advantages EDIS can provide in a way of promote listing more bonds and sukuk in your exchange. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abi. Listing in our exchange has many advantages. One of the advantages that trading and clearing settlement is done under one umbrella. Also now we saw there is a trend also in some of the companies to list outside UAE, and now we are in process of having associate with those clearing house like Euroclear and Stream to have a cooperation with them. If some of those companies interested to be listed in our ADX, traded in ADX and cleared outside UAE. But if you list in our exchange like National Bank of Abu Dhabi, they have one bond, and the previous bond is already matured for Bank of Sharjah. You trade it, the system calculates everything for you, they calculate the accrued interest. After 2 days, the settlement done and clearing done. All under one umbrella, vertical, and everything is guaranteed. You don't need to worry about clearing or settlement. This is the main advantage in ADX. And also trading fees, yes, it's less than outside if you trade it here, because it's less than trading shares. And the trading fees calculate only in the face value of the bond, on market value of the bond, and the accrued interest will not be included in the trading fees. This is also advantage. You don't need to go and claim your accrual interest, because in the settlement you will receive your money as a seller plus your accrual interest. The market will give you a full amount, or your brokerage, of course, not the market, but it's done under one umbrella, under one system.
My second question goes to Michael. How the ways of convince the issuer to be listed in our local exchange. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think they need to see a full value proposition, and that means, as I said, they need to know that you're not going to be delayed in the process. And I think you've made a good start on that. They need to know that the disclosure that will be expected of them will be reasonable and appropriate for bonds, and which may be somewhat different from disclosure for shares. Maybe similar, but there may be some additional, but it needs to have a higher, a tailored tailored kind of disclosure. They need to know that there is liquidity there. Obviously, I think that we can estimate that there probably will be, and it would be valuable. They need the instruments that they need, whether it's convertibles or some kind of hybrids or whatever, that they can that suit their particular treasury and financing needs, need to be available, the tools. And ideally, there would be some liquidity at the end of the road. Now, liquidity is going to be the hardest challenge in any emerging bond market. But if we can hit as many of those boxes as possible, I think then we can have a valuable proposition for issuers.
Okay, I think we reached the end. Thank you, Mr. Mike, Dr. Mandar, and Mr. Abdullah Naimi, also Mr. Kal, for your presentations, and for Dr. Abeid to make this roadshow. Thank you, everybody, so much for coming this roadshow, and thank you so much again, and thank you so much.